My name is Alexandre Henri-Bhargava. So I was thinking to myself last week about how interesting it is that in our modern, sophisticated, technological society, we're still captivated by listening and telling stories. So tonight, we're in a nice hall and there's bright lights and we have microphones, but fundamentally the way in which we're sharing stories hasn't really differed with how our ancestors would have many years ago. So imagine now that you have a condition that robs you of your ability to remember your stories. This is Iris. She represents many of the patients that I see every week. She's a mother, a sister, a spouse, a friend, and having finished work, she has so many plans for a high-quality retirement. She wants to travel, to garden, to spend time with her grandchildren. She wants to direct a play. She wants to dig out her acrylic paints. But she's just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. So despite having been healthy her whole life, her condition will slowly rob her of that quality that she was looking for. Over the next few years, she'll become increasingly dependent on her family. Even worse, she'll forget the names of those very people that she depends upon, and she may not recognize them. The stories that she holds dear to her heart will be destroyed one by her condition. And we hope that she'll be remembered as the vibrant person she is in this picture, not the way that her condition will leave her at the end of her illness. Well, the irony is we've learned so much about what will happen to Iris's mind and Iris's brain, and yet many of us feel no closer to being able to really stop it. What's become clear now that Alzheimer's disease and its related conditions are really an end state that seem to be triggered by a host of different individual genetic and environmental factors. Much like we now know cancer varies tremendously between individuals, the disease that affects every person with dementia is really unique. And this has caused some of our brightest minds to throw their hands up in the air and say, well, we're never going to really be able to understand and treat this condition. It's just too complex. Well, here's a thought. Just because something is complex doesn't mean we can't understand it. Have a look at this work of art here. It is very complex. However, you can take time to study the individual brushstrokes on the canvas. You can look at the patterns they make. You can study the hues. You can speak to the artist or at least learn about their story. And if you start to do this, you can start to make some sense of this painting. You begin to understand how this complex work of art came to be and what it means. And when you analyze another work of art in the same way, you too begin to understand its particular complexity. And if you're a student of the arts, you begin to do this over and over and understand that there are fundamental similarities between the different paintings. There are some similarities as well, similar pigments brushed onto similar canvases, but you understand how they differ, and you understand the art despite its complexity. Well, we have the ability to do this for the diseases affecting patients like Iris now. With our new genetic techniques, genomics, we can learn Iris's genetic makeup. With our new chemistry techniques, proteomics, we can learn the makeup of the proteins in Iris's blood and in her brain. With our new MRI scans and PET scans, we can see how Iris's brain is changing. With new ways of reading basic stories, data information techniques, we can draw information from Iris's doctor's notes and see important clues that tell us about Iris's specific condition. And if we capture this kind of detailed information about all of our patients with dementia, then we begin to understand the complexity of this condition. We learn about the commonalities and differences between the patients, and this allows us to develop individualized treatments that will make a real difference. This is called a rapid learning healthcare system, and I think it's the way we will develop meaningful treatments for people like Iris. Well, in order to build our learning healthcare system, two types of silos must be broken. Firstly, the idea that research and clinic are separable has to be thrown out the window. We need to learn from every single patient we see, not just the ones that are chosen for research, and we need to be able to apply our learnings back to the next patient right away, or at least much more quickly than the average 17 years it takes for a new piece of knowledge to become embedded into clinical practice. When we learn which types of patients will benefit from a new physical activity program, we then need to be able to readily identify those patients and offer them this program and not offer it to those who won't benefit. When we learn of a new dietary intervention that works for patients with a specific gene, we need to be able to locate and counsel those specific patients. When we learn that an expensive new drug seems to only work on a certain type of protein malfunction, we need to be able to give that drug to the patients who have that protein malfunction, but not to those who don't. The second type of silo that needs to be broken is an artificial barrier that each of our scholarly disciplines put up. Medicine has dealt with complexity by allowing physicians to become increasingly specialized. As a neurologist, I see patients early in their disease often, and I mainly think and focus about how their brain is affected. But my geriatrician and family physician colleagues think about the patient in the context of their frailty. My psychiatry colleagues focus on the behaviors and their treatments. We all see a different aspect of the same illness, and we need to develop better ways of understanding informed from one another so that we can see the broader picture more easily. This is why here in Canada, we're currently developing a training program in what we're calling interdisciplinary brain medicine. Our application is getting submitted in the fall, so you actually heard it first here. This new training will allow physicians from different brain-related specialties to acquire knowledge, skills, and attitudes from one another to approach brain diseases in a more complete and holistic way. Today, the care that I can provide to Iris is modest, but the hope, I think, is great. I think we're truly at the cusp of a major shift. If we link research and care in a rapid learning healthcare system, and if we train physicians in new interdisciplinary ways of thinking about the problem, we will make a difference in treatment. The two paintings I showed you tonight were made by artists in the throes of dementia. We want to be able to keep persons like them painting for much longer, and we will make progress in helping our patients tackle this last frontier of quality of life. Thank you.